Welcome Ag Discovery. Now that you have seen what we are doing with hydroponics here at Fort Valley State University, I will give you a brief hydroponic overview. Hydroponics is growing plants in a nutrient-rich water with an anchoring medium for the roots, which can either be clay pebbles called hydroton or rock wool, as you were shown by Nicole. These allow for the plant roots to anchor themselves and stand the plant upright. We call this section modern farming, but hydroponics is an ancient farming method whose use and popularity is re-emerging. Hydroponics have been described in ancient Egyptian writings and by British scientists in the 16th and 1700s. However, it wasn't until 1930 that William Garrett coined the term hydroponics. Hydroponic works by providing nutrients via water only, using no soil, which traditionally holds the nutrients. The nutrients are delivered to the roots by flooding, flowing, or misting over the roots with the nutrient solution. As pointed out by our students, the basic involves a pump to move the water and gravity to return it. So here's a rendition of a pump moving the water up, and inside our greenhouse, here's our deep water culture where the pump is located in the bottom reservoir and pumps the water up and it returns by gravity. There are a total of 6 systems, 3 of which you have met: the NFT, the deep water culture, and the aeroponic or tower garden system. There are also 3 more systems: the drip system, which works by dripping the solution down through the rooting medium; the ebb and flow system, which floods and then recedes from the roots; and finally, the wick system, that uses capillary action to move the nutrient solution to the plants instead of a pump. So the nutrients for hydroponics, or for any plant growth, there are 17 required nutrients. These are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, calcium, magnesium, boron, chlorine, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum, nickel, and zinc. These are available in the soil due to decomposition, but for hydroponics, they are given to the system in very appropriate amounts. Hydroponics can grow plants from beginning to end, as you can germinate seeds in hydroponic. This will give you a chance of creating plants with less disease. Hydroponics can also be used to mass produce plants via cuttings, which will root in about 2 weeks. So why use hydroponics? As we have shown and told you overall, hydroponics can grow crops that are dirt-free, healthy, and pesticide-free. There are no negative effects to the environment. Crops can be grown year-round without the requirement for land. Crops can be grown inside a greenhouse, inside a house, in a basement, or on a rooftop. And hydroponic systems use 90 to 95% less water while increasing the productivity of the desired crop. Hydroponics is a rapidly growing and sustainable method that will be used to feed our everly growing population. Thank you for coming to visit us here at the Specialty Plant Greenhouse, and enjoy your time here in Ag Discovery. Thank you.
Oh, hey y'all, it's me again. I'm back in the Specialty Plant House, and I just want to tell y'all about hydroponics. Throughout time, hydroponics replaced traditional farming due to its ability to produce an extremely higher yield than crops, while essentially requiring a fraction of the space than traditional farming. So my current project involves the evaluation of growth of different types of lettuce, and it compares the hydroponic and traditional crops. So I use the tower gardens, and I also use the NFT systems. So from the first experiment, I yielded an average of 130 grams of crops from hydroponics, while traditional farming didn't show any growth at all significantly. On a yearly scale, we calculated a hypothetical yield for a complete 3-month cycle based on our data and yielded around 200,000 pounds of crops per year per acre from hydroponics and no more than 7,500 pounds from traditional farming. If a farmer were to sell each crop at $1 per pound, a farmer could make about $200,000 a year from hydroponics and about $7,500 from traditional farming. So you can see the significant difference between hydroponics and traditional farming.
All right, so back over here in the specialty plant house, I'm just gonna talk with you a little bit more in detail about hydroponics. So as you already know, we're using hydroponics in a number of different methods here. So one of the main things we're doing is growing a lot of different plants faster and larger than we could get out of the field in the same amount of time. And that's possible because this controlled environment of the greenhouse gives us temperature and moisture control, so that when we grow turmeric, stevia, and other specialty crops in here, we will get them to a larger size, and this will happen a lot quicker than we can do outside in the field or in the raised bed. So like I said, we can control the amount of nutrients that they will receive, giving direct access to the root zone, more air and nutrients than they would receive. So a lot of different nutrient options are available for companies and farmers interested in going into hydroponics. You've got your conventional nutrient options like some of these here. We also do have your other organic options, which I'll discuss in a little bit more detail. So a lot of people are actually starting to go into organic farming and seek out organic foods for environmental as well as health concerns. Now, some experts are actually saying that traditional farming methods won't sustain us much longer. So learning how these organic farming methods can help feed the world now has actually inspired my thesis research. So my thesis research is actually called Comparison of Specialty Crop Production with Modern Organic Techniques. Long story short, I'm looking at how crops respond in different mediums of different organic nutrient inputs. I'm growing different specialty crops in hydroponics, such as these, in the raised beds, as you've seen out there in the stevia field, as well as in the soil. So one thing I've done is I've constructed my own vermicompost. It's an organic compost, and I use it in each of my systems. I'm going to take you over here to show you a little bit more in detail what that is actually comprised of. So I'm growing different specialty crops in hydroponics, the raised beds, and out in the soil. I've constructed my own organic compost called vermicompost to use in each of these systems, testing the nutrients of this compost and growing plants at different treatment combinations. At the end of these treatments and after they're grown, I will test the nutrient levels of these plants as they are done growing, so as to compare these nutrition levels with traditionally grown crops. As part of my research, I have a little biotechnological aid right here with these worms. So these are some of the helpers that I'm using here, these earthworms. They help me make this finished product, one of them, called vermicompost. This isn't actually where it happens. The magic actually happens in this bin right here. So we take a little look inside of it. This worm bin right here is where the magic happens. The carbon-nitrogen ratio you'd want in a vermicompost bin like this one is actually a 3-to-1, brown to green, as opposed to the 4-to-1 as you would want in a traditional compost. And there are a couple things that you would want to exclude from adding in a vermicompost bin. So we don't use any meats, dairies, oils, citrus, or any kind of processed or canned foods, anything really hot or spicy, like onions, garlics, hot peppers. So basically the meat and dairy will attract rodents, pests, possibly contaminate your compost with pathogenic bacteria. Everything else I mentioned will either slow down the worms composting, kill them, or have them try to run away. So you really don't want that. Now, as far as ingredients go to add to vermicompost, you can add almost just about anything. So grass clippings that haven't been treated with any pesticides, pre-composted stevia leaves, horse or cow dung, the leaf and fruit litter that we have in the greenhouse as well, from papaya, curry, watercress, mint, and then some of your less common materials that you would throw away, like spent tea bags, shredded paper, eggshells, most fruit and veggie scraps that go rotten, or cardboard. You know, they're not too picky. So they eat the decaying organic matter in this bin here, and they'll make several things for us to use: vermicompost as well as vermileachate. The vermicompost right here, this right here, is a really rich soil amendment. It's actually the result of worms and their associated bacteria digesting the waste that we put in here. It comes out, it's this dark, nutrient-rich compost that will feed and enhance the soil properties over time. So when you add this to your field or pot, you're doing yourself a really big favor and improving your soil structure. So by adding this to it, you're going to aerate your soil, enhance the nutrient content over it over time, as well as worms will eat the waste and excrete their castings into your soil, enhancing it even further. So the other product that I use here is vermileachate. It's actually this liquid fertilizer here. Now this is the drippings that will come out of the bottom of this bin. So it has some of the same nutrient quality as the compost, but it's already a convenient liquid form for you to use in hydroponics. So I use these worms in here to break down our greenhouse and field waste to grow more plants. And they can also be used directly inside the hydroponics units, because the worm species that we use, Ascenia fetida, they can survive in aerated water for several weeks. Now, in my thesis research, I've used the vermileachate directly in the NFTs and the towers, and I've gotten growth very similar to standard hydroponic nutrients. So I've used this created compost as a fertilizer in the 2 mini NFTs that you saw back there. Grew some kale and strawberries before, and I actually measured the nutrients of them, and there was higher potassium and magnesium levels than those in the standard nutrient. In the intercropping field, I've used vermicompost in varying concentrations as well to grow different crops, as well as controlled growth in the old stevia field out back. After we grew them, we looked at different nutrient profiles of the crops, such as magnesium, potassium, and zinc content.
Hello, my name is Arthur Robertson. I'm an assistant research technician here at Fort Valley State University. I did my undergraduate studies here at Fort Valley State. Some of my main duties here is, in addition to assisting the students with their research project, is to do the maintenance and overseeing of most of the operations here in the specialty plant houses, the field, and other projects that we have going. One of the students talked earlier about the hydroponic systems, and I just want to go over some of the basics of the pump system and the operation of how they work. She told you that we had 3 different types: the tower system, the NFT, and the DWC. One of the main things in the heart of the system is the pump, which you can see here. This is what keeps all the water flowing through the system. And it's important that the water flows at all times. So without the pump going, we'll have plants dying, and we wouldn't have a good crop. In addition to the pump system, we also have the filtration system around here. You probably can hear it in the background, a little bit of the water flowing now. But we have a filter system here that filters out trash and debris and stuff, so that the pump won't get clogged up and the system will run smoothly. Also, we want to take note that these channels, as she talked about earlier in the scene, the water flows through these channels, which is where the nutrients and the water feed the system, which are based into the rock wool, as you've seen earlier. And the pump system works not only with the NFT, but it works with the DWC as well as the tower. You can see a lot of our systems are automated. We have the solar operated system, so that when it's too hot, the panels will open up on the side. If you may not be able to see the water stream right here beside this cooling system, hydro cooling system, that pumps the water through there, and the exhaust fans pulls the cool air through the system as well. Also, we have the automated nutrient system, as you can see here, which is on a timer, and it feeds every 15 minutes to supply the nutrients to the different systems that we have installed. The tower system basically is the one that's on this automated system. but almost all of our systems are automated one way or the other.